Hello, and welcome to What It Takes to Be a Teacher, where we ask that ever-pressing question, do you have what it takes to be a teacher? I'm your host, Paul Morley Walker, and let's bring out our first guest. Hello, my name is Paul Morley Walker. I'm a first grade teacher from Utah, and thank you for having me. No, the pleasure is all mine. Let's get started, shall we? Now, Paul, according to the GCU document, Professional Dispositions of Learners, what dispositions do you possess that make you a successful teacher? And as a follow-up question, which of these dispositions do you struggle with? I appreciate this question very much because it's something that not a lot of teachers think about when they first start teaching. I think it's important to discuss the dispositions of teaching, as do I, which is why I asked the question. If you wouldn't mind answering it. Yes, of course. So sorry. Well, I feel I possess all the dispositions needed to be an effective teacher, with parts that need some help. Wow. Impressive. Could you go into more detail? Absolutely. Let me break it down for you. The first disposition I have is high expectations. I truly believe that each child can be taught, and they are capable of learning. In first grade, we have the huge responsibility of teaching our kiddos how to read. By the end of the year, I expect that most of my students will enter second grade with the reading skills needed to continue their education. It's quite remarkable to see that light turn on when they really start to get it. I bet it is. The next disposition I possess is respect for the diversity of others. In my classroom, I have had many students from different backgrounds, cultures, races, social economic statuses, sexualities, and upbringings. Every one of those students was welcome and accepted in my classroom. I also try to instill an environment of unity among my students. No matter who we are, we all matter. That's fantastic. The next disposition is fairness. In my class, I try to treat all students equal in their assessments and learning. However, we all know that not all students are the same, which is why I teach my class that fair doesn't always mean equal. Fair means everyone gets what they need. If some students need more time on a test, then that's fair that they get more time. Wonderful thought. I think so too. The next disposition, which is professional conduct, is one I take to heart. If a teacher doesn't look like a teacher, then it's very hard for them to act like one. I feel that a teacher's dress, manners, and colloquial speech affect how they teach and how students view them. I try very hard to dress the part along with acting the part of a professional. However, this is also something I struggle with. The part that I struggle with is timeliness. Being on time is something I've tried to improve my whole life. I tend to take my time with things, but being in the teaching profession, managing your time is vital when demonstrating professionalism. Thank goodness you made it on time today. Barely. The next disposition is reflection. How do you feel you do there? Now, this is one of my favorites. Whenever a lesson goes well or does just the opposite and crashes and burns, we've all been there, am I right? It's very important to me that I reflect on why. This goes along the same vein as looking at data. Why did most of my class miss this question? Was it a bad question, or did I not teach it well? When I reflect on how my students are performing, then that improves my teaching immensely. I'm also continually collaborating with my team, bouncing ideas off each other so we can better improve ourselves and our teaching. Curious. Which is our next disposition? How does curiosity affect your teaching? Curiosity is a disposition that I try to emulate and instill in my students. I try to have a curious mind about whatever it is that I'm teaching, which also allows my students to show curiosity. I also try to better myself in my teaching by having a curious mind and learn something every day. I certainly have learned a lot today. Now, how do you feel about honesty? Now, be honest with me. Well, honestly, I feel it's very important to be honest. I always try to be transparent and include my students in the decision-making process. I also try to say what I mean and mean what I say, especially when following through with the decision. Showing integrity in my speech, but especially my actions, is something I strive for all the time. Fantastic. Now, compassion is a big part of teaching. Do you feel you have compassion in your teaching? I certainly do. I feel this is my biggest strength when discussing dispositions. About 3 to 4 years into my teaching, one of my autistic students said to his mom as he was leaving the classroom, my teacher just gets kids. That was a huge compliment to me. I feel I really try to get to know my students and connect with them on their levels. Especially in first grade, if my students don't know I care about them, then I'm wasting my time trying to teach them. Powerful. Being an advocate for my students ties in with compassion. In my class, my students know that they belong to my class, and I will do all I can to help them the best way I can. I advocate for them in all I do, while trying to show them how important it is to advocate for each other. One thing we always say in my classroom is, we help, not hurt. Are we helping or hurting? If we're hurting, we need to change. If we're helping, keep doing what we're doing. Now that brings us to our last disposition, dedication. How dedicated are you to the profession of teaching? Oh, extremely dedicated. There was one year that I didn't miss a single day. That's right, 100% attendance. I didn't take a sick or personal day the entire year. I also volunteer my time for the school musical each year by helping direct. Now, I realize punctuality is part of that dedication, which is something I'm constantly striving for, but I have made great strides in that area, and I'll keep making those strides because I am dedicated to this amazing profession. Inspiring. Speaking of time, Paul, thank you for your time, and that is all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us on What You Think It Takes to Be a Teacher.